Excerpt of Poker Face by Heather Jarvis. When my mom went to prison, my father stepped up. He took care of me. Picture it. A big, manly construction worker with callous hands and a sad, fragile little girl who just wanted her mom. He did it despite all the obstacles we faced, despite the fact he had no idea what he was doing. He didn't know how to comb my hair or what I liked to eat, but we figured it out. I wanted a clubhouse. He gave me wood and nails and let me create whatever my young mind could think up. It took me 7 stitches from a hammer, but I had my clubhouse. Movie director? My father bought me a video camera. It took me 100 takes, but I made my movie. Have you ever seen a Christmas tree decorated solely by an 8-year-old girl? You could say it's interesting. It was covered in lots of annoying icicles and fruity candy canes. Decorated with whatever shiny bulbs he let me pick out at the big lots across town. On Christmas morning, under the tree, there was exactly what I asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. He would stand watching me, rubbing his head with excitement when I became giddy, knowing he had pleased me. He sang me in his own little made-up tunes every morning, repeating, "It's time to get up for school." He taught me how to be a kid, and I taught him how to be a parent. When I was about 16 years old, I found myself soaked, walking aimlessly in the rain. I was in the middle of nowhere in Lubbock, West Virginia, with my friend Amanda, lugging a case of beer. My phone beeped, alerting me my battery was almost dead. I did what I always did. I called my dad. Drunk and frantic, I asked him to come and get me. Problem was, I didn't know where I was. I was coming down a back-scare blacktop road surrounded by woods to a clearing. Look around. What do you see? My father asks. I looked around and described to him what I saw: a little abandoned church with an overpass behind it, up a steep hill. Then, nothing. My phone died. Amanda and I were both rebellious, both fighting a war with adolescents, insecurities, and fitting in. I don't know why we left the party. Maybe somebody pissed us off, or maybe we just got bored of the usual beer pong and drunk advances. I do know Amanda and I had found ourselves lost, sitting on a curb drinking cheap beer while the wind and the rain fought around us. We were out of options. We couldn't find our way back, and we couldn't find our way to the main road. We were stuck in a drunken maze. The highway taunted us from up the hill with sounds of passing cars. The hill was an impossible trek. For a moment, we had forgotten where we were. We just enjoyed the rain and the beer. We were living young and careless. Amanda yelled into the empty church parking lot, "Hello out there!" "Oh!" I yelled, impersonating George in the jungle. God himself was probably laughing at us in that deserted church parking lot. Eventually, a horn's blare answered us from the highway above. We looked up the steep hill to see my dad's little blue Dodge Dakota two-seater truck with its rusted steel toolbox pulled over the shoulder of the highway. The window was rolled down, and he was honking down at us. He was yelling, prompting us to climb up the hill. Amanda and I looked at each other, then at the soggy case of beer. Fuck it. Amanda's drunk ass had the idea to put the beer up her soaked hoodie. We thought we were so slick and so inconspicuous. Amanda and I began to trek up the hill to the truck, falling and sliding down the wet grass. She was struggling with the beer, one falling out here and there. We were trying to grip into flimsy grass, only for it to rip from the ground. My dad was rooting at us the whole time. We were on the tree, like we were in the 3-yard lane in the Super Bowl. Finally, we reached the top, feeling triumphant. We were soaked with rain and sweat. We stumbled over the barrier and flung the case of beer into the back of the truck, as if my dad didn't hear the thump, and as if he didn't see it fall out of Amanda's hoodie and roll down the hill right along with us during our failed attempts to scale the hill. But we eventually made it. We got in the cab acting casual, like my dad hadn't just rescued drunk us from the middle of nowhere. She was on the seat. I sat on the console of the small truck, close enough to my dad that my wet clothes were seeping into his. "You girls didn't bring a case of beer with you, did you?" he asked, smiling. He wasn't stupid, but he played dumb. Now that he had found us, he was done with the worry. He had moved into entertainment. "No, Daddy." I managed to get the radio on, and we drunkenly sang all the way to town, to the window, to the fall. We sang in our Lil Jon voices. When we came into abandoned 7th Street, it was late, deserted. My dad took us to Hardy's fast food restaurant. He was cool like that. It was open 24 hours. We ordered the famous $6 burger with greasy curly fries and large, thick strawberry milkshakes with whipped creams and lots of apple turnovers. My dad just laughed and paid. When we stumbled into the house, Dad ushered us to the kitchen table where we ate our food like homeless people in a soup kitchen. Then he made us go to bed. We really consisted of us drunkenly laying in my queen-size bed, talking about what if, watching the ceiling spin. "You all right?" He kept yelling up the stairs every time the floor creaked from the movement. We answered, "Yeah," down the attic stairs, half annoyed. He just cackled. Fast forward to Family Day at the Ohio Reformatory for Women. The day was drawing to an end. How do you look your father in the eye, the person who raised you, knowing it's the last time you will ever see him? It's terrifyingly tragic. The day went too fast, filled with the chaos of sticky-faced children who ate way too much candy from the peanut running every which way between activities. The face painting station was packed with children expectantly wanting Spider-Man or butterfly faces. The sounds of children and line dancing music filled the gym. The bowling pins were being trampled like grass at the yard sale by young ones, too little to even put their fingers in a ball correctly. Mothers gleefully chased after them, even if it was just for a day. Unlike them, that day was all I had to feel his soft, weary touch. I rubbed his hands, scald from chemotherapy. I longed to go home and rub lotion on. He had never been much of an emotional person, but that day was an exception. He caved in like a house in a sinkhole. Just like me, he knew. All the wishes in the world wouldn't stop his stage 4 cancer from attacking every organ in his now frail body. Despite the pain, I was proud of him. He was not letting cancer win. He wanted to live. He refused to bring a wheelchair turning the short trek from the entrance building to the gym into a marathon. He endured 3 hours driving, getting lost a couple of times with screaming kids to come here and find me. We smiled in front of a beach-themed backdrop of an orange and yellow sunset on a horizon. There was a little sailboat riding against the waves in a big palm tree in the sun. There was a boardwalk along the beach. I wish I could take the boardwalk and go far away where cancer couldn't find us. My daughter, Adessa, never had her dad around, so she became my dad's too. It was interesting because by then he knew all about raising a little girl. It gave me comfort to know she was overprotective of him at family day visit, like I'm sure she was at home witnessing him decline. Adessa cared so much, even in her adolescence, that she trailed behind him going to the bathroom. When he dropped his oxygen tank, she just picked it up casually, like she did all the time. My dad died almost a year later. Cancer spread like a rumor from his lungs to his liver, eventually to his brain. I felt guilty for being in prison. I felt relieved he was at peace, surrounded, but alone. I told no one. I didn't want pity. I almost craved it while he was sick. I wanted people to know I was suffering right along with him. I eventually told those close to me. All evening, my friends comfort me, coming to my aid like the Red Cross. I surprised them with how calm I was. I surprised myself. A year earlier, at the family day, I felt selfish in those final moments. Instead of being with my children like the other mothers, I lay on my dad's shoulder crying. I clung to him tightly, just like when I was younger, and wrapped myself around his leg while he was around the house. Only this time, he wasn't trying to shake me off. I suck it up in a funnel of my mind like a tornado. The memories of us spun around and round in my mind. Tears of pain, the only thing being spit out. The thing about time is preparation. Nothing left unsaid. I knew every time I talked to my dad, it may be the last. I had the luxury of saying goodbye. I told that man how much I loved and adored him every day for 2 years. I know, Heather, you say it every 5 minutes, he'll respond. I got time to apologize and spill my soul to him for all the wrongs I had done during my rebellious years. I asked him what he wanted me to do with my life, and he answered. I know what dreams he had for me. I know the life he wanted me to live. Months later, I'm still learning to live without him. It still hits me like an aftershock. I still dial his number on the phone only to realize he isn't going to answer. Grief sneaks up on me with something as simple as a treacherous commercial. Obdivo, it says, a chance to live longer. And then it thanks the patience of the clinical trial. Obdivo was the last thing my father tried, and it didn't save him. He didn't find refuge. However, thanks to how he lived, I did. The memories of us keep me sane. My dad always found me. Always. So even in death, even when I die, I know he will find me. I know when I'm lonely and missing him, he will find me. Even if it's only in my dreams, he will find me.